Good morning, Year 5, and welcome to Thursday's English lesson. This week we've been looking at writing instructions, and on Tuesday you designed a robot, which yesterday you then wrote a plan for instructions as to how to use your robot. And today we're going to start writing those instructions, and we're going to make sure that we are writing in complex sentences and using commas to add clauses. So let's have a look at an example of writing instructions. So in this example, the first thing you notice is we have a title, How to Use the OR300. So you'll need to think of a name for your robot if you haven't already, okay? And your instructions are going to be how to use the name of your robot. Then we need an opening sentence. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next page, but first, if we read follow these instructions to start using the OR300 and your house will be the cleanest in the city. So this introduces that these instructions are about using the OR300, and it tells you what the end result will be if you follow these instructions specifically. We've then got a section, you will need equipment. Okay, and what equipment do you need? There's a list here. You need a charger, a wristband, a duster, a cloth, and an extra battery. And in addition, the quantities that you're going to need. So we need just one of each for these, but for other things, you might need different amounts. Then I've got my opening instruction. Okay, so I start off with first of all. Okay, you will need to switch on the robot by gently pressing its nose. So it tells me specifically that you have to switch the robot on and how to do it. If the robot's nose turns pink, then you have switched it on correctly. However, if this does not happen, it is probably a battery fault. Do not panic as there is an extra battery provided for you. Try inserting the new battery and start again. So that's set the scene for what we have to do afterwards, but we've got how to get the robot operating correctly and started. Now, this is where we want you to get to today in writing your instructions. We need a title, an opening, a list of what you need, the equipment, and then an opening paragraph of what the first thing is you need to do, your first step. So, I did say we'd need to write a short introduction. Do you remember my T2Me version 2 robot that I showed you over the last 2 days? Well, here would be my introduction for him. Follow these instructions to begin using the T2Me version 2, and in next to no time, you will be sipping a hot cup of delicious tea. So I've added in next to no time, and I've sort of used parentheses around it. I've used commas in this case, but remember with parentheses, sometimes you use brackets and sometimes you use dashes, but I've used commas here. Follow these instructions to begin using the T2Me version 2, and in next to no time, you will be sipping a hot cup of delicious tea. Now, think about what your robot is meant to do. What's your opening instructions going to be? When you've thought about it, I want you on a piece of paper to write the date, write the I can, then the instructions title. So if you remember on this one, it was how to use the OR300. And for my T2Me, it would be how to use the T2Me version 2. And then underline that, and then you need to come up with your introduction, which will be probably 1 or maybe 2 sentences at most. Okay, pause the video, off you go and have a go at that. Okay, welcome back. So we are going to continue. So far you've got your title and you've got your introduction. And the next step that we need is a list of equipment. So you need to write your little opening statement, you will need equipment, and then you need to look on your plan at this box here where I've written what tools does it need, and I've written down what you need in order to get your equipment working. I might also need to put in here for mine that I would need tea bags and sugar and milk and water. So this is what you next do on your sheet. You're going to write your list of equipment. So pause the video and do that next. Right, now let's look back at our plan. This was my plan, if you remember. So we've done the what does it need, okay, and we now need to think about how we are going to start using the machine, because that's what the user wants to know. How am I going to turn it off, on or off, and what's going to happen once I've turned it on? What would I expect it to look like or sound like? Okay, did you get? I've got my first comma here after firstly my time conjunction. Switch on the robot using the on-off switch, comma, in front of a relative clause, which is located where his nose should be. Then I've got when turning it on, comma, his eyes should change colour from red to green. So I've got my subordinate clause and my main clause separated by a comma. If this does not occur, comma, there may be a problem with the batteries. See later section on battery malfunction. You may start to hear a faint humming sound emerging from his call, although this is nothing to worry about. So have a check through if you got commas in the same place. Now, when I have a look through here, I've got my time conjunctions here, firstly. I've got some description, it's a faint humming sound. I've got imperative verbs such as switch, okay? And have I got technical vocabulary? Well, I've got batteries here, I've got malfunction. So I have got all those things in my writing. And this is only the first paragraph. Then I've got others to do what the next steps are. So all I want you to write today is your first step. And I want you to think about making sure you include adjectives to describe colour, size, shape, touch. Some adverbs, some advice, in other words, on how to do it, so carefully or slowly. Have you got imperative verbs, or bossy verbs? Have you used some time conjunctions to sequence it? And have you included technical vocabulary? So, stop the video, and underneath where you wrote your equipment, can you now write your first step? Finally, have a look back over your first paragraph today, and can you please underline any examples of the technical language you've used so far, any imperative verbs, any adverbs, and any time conjunctions. You might want to use a different colour pencil for each one. So read through and highlight or underline where you've used them. And if you haven't used any of them, can you go back through that opening paragraph, that first paragraph, and add some in? Well done, everybody. We're going to carry on writing these instructions tomorrow, so keep them safe until then. And I'll speak to you tomorrow. Goodbye.